Good morning, Lynchburg City students. I'm so thankful to be back with you again today. I'm Tristan Brown. I'm here to bring you some more Math SAT prep. If you guys remember, Tuesday I put out this calculator tutorial video. I told you I wanted to follow up to that. It would come out today on the Thursday. However, when I was thinking about what to do for this one, I thought about everything we did on Tuesday, and I pretty much went through all the fundamentals and everything you're going to need for the SAT involving the calculator. So I thought it might be even more beneficial than to go through more advanced features of the calculator to actually directly apply what we did use on Tuesday to an SAT problem. So that's what we're going to do today. Most of these problems, again, like I said, way back at the very beginning, any of these problems, even on the calculator section, can be done without a calculator. However, they're made much easier by using the calculator in some cases. And this, out of all the problems I've seen, is the most direct benefit from, or problems like this are the most direct benefit from having the calculator. So we're going to look through this problem. Obviously, this is a very long word problem. It's from the Heart of Algebra section. It's an intermediate difficulty. So keep that in mind as we're going through the problem. Again, it's a video on the internet. If you need to stop it at any point, if you have your own calculator and you want to go try to set this up before you look at me, watch me do it, or if you want to do it alongside that, do whatever's best for you guys. That's what I'm here for. That all being said, let's get, I'm going to go ahead and read this problem, and then we'll get through it, all right? All right. It says a company's manager estimated that the cost C in dollars of producing N items is C equals 7N plus 350. The company sells each item for $12. The company makes a profit when total income from selling a quantity of items is greater than the total cost of producing that quantity of items. Which of the following inequalities gives all possible values of N for which the manager estimates that the company will make a profit? All right, so again, that's a big problem, a lot of words. I know most of us don't like very long, wordy math problems. However, this one, it's actually, even though it has a lot of words, we can dive down to just a couple small portions of it. I also realized in some of my past videos, you guys don't see my pen when I move it around. You just see what's written up with it. So I will try to use my mouse cursor so you can see that as I'm moving along. So it tells us we have this cost C in dollars of producing N. N is our variable, which is going to represent items. And it gives us this function for it, which says C, which is the cost, which isn't going to write for me today apparently, equals, well, there we go. I don't know what was happening. 7N plus 350. All right, so that's a function, and it just gives us that right out of the problem, which is good. Sometimes it won't be as direct as that. Sometimes you do have this benefit of it just telling you what it is. It says that N is the number of items, and C is the total cost of producing these items. Then it tells us that this company sells each item for $12. So we get $12 each item, and we know that the items are represented by this variable N. So we can go ahead and change this to a function of 12N. All right, now before we go any further, I'll read the rest of the problem so we can see what we're going to do with both of these. So then it says the company makes profit. This is what we're looking for in the problem, the profit, when we start to make a profit. So profit means when you make more money than you have spent. So this is how much we spend this function. This is how much we earn, or the company earns anyway. So when this function, when our values start to be greater on this one than they are in this one, we start to make a profit. So that's what we're looking for. And these values down here, we're trying to figure out which one accurately represents if we sell more than this number of items or this number of items. That's when we start to make a profit. We just have to figure out which of those numbers it is, and then which of these inequalities accurately represents that. Before I go to the calculator to show you how this works, even if we looked at multiple choice and you had no idea what you were doing with the math part of it, it tells us in the problem that we want a greater than. So we can just automatically eliminate those two answers. And even if you had no idea what to do with the math, you got a 50-50 chance of getting the right answer right off the bat with that alone. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes there's really simple things to increase our chances of getting the problem right, even for things that we don't necessarily know how to completely do. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. And remember, if you watch the calculator tutorial video on Tuesday, these values are fine for this. However, the calculator is not going to let you type in C and N. It wants it in Y and X. So remember, this will be Y and this will be X. And this would have been equivalent to, say, profit. So profit's Y and N is still X. So now I'm going to take you guys to the calculator. We're going to plot both of these. You really get to see the benefits of using the calculator. So hopefully now you can see the calculator. So if I go back up here to my Y equals, just to make sure it's sharing that, it is good. So if we type this first function for the cost, it is 7. Remember, we placed that N with an X, and it's already set to Y equals plus 350. So that's our first function. Hit enter, and it takes us to the second one. That's where we're going to put the 12x, or 12n, which is represented by x in this case. And that profit now is still represented by y. So hit enter. Then I'm going to hit graph. I never reset my window from, well, that's kind of funny. I never reset my window from when we did the video last time, but that's okay. And as you can see, even with that, it didn't show what we wanted. However, we could sometimes you just have to guess where your window is going to be at, where you're looking for. However, in this case, we know since it was multiple choice, that our values for x, our numbers are either 70 or 84. So or 7D or 84. So for our window, I'm going to put from 69 to 75 because that just makes things really easy. And our y scale is still 1. And our y values, so if you remember from that first function, it shows the 7x plus 350, its y-intercept is 350, and it has a positive slope. So we're going to be well above 350. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and hit 400 and say 500 just to give us a big range. I'll keep the step at 10. That makes it really easy to look at. And now I'll hit graph and we'll see what we get. Wow. And there's nothing. So that just means we're out of a window where we could see. So obviously, there are values here. The x values are going to be values for every x. So that's not the problem. But there's just none of those x values are within this window. So now what we're going to do, we know there wasn't any by 500. So now we're going to go and make 500, or I'm even going to go ahead and make 550 our minimum. And then just to increase this more drastically, I'm going to put this up to 750. I'll keep the y scale at 10, and then we just go back through. And there's still nothing. So we just go back again. We go from 800 to 1,000. That should be a decent window. And part of that reason that we haven't seen anything is because we have such a limited x. Oh, that's part of it's also because that's wrong. I wanted from that to be 85, not 75. We still wouldn't have seen anything, but that was part of the reason, is that our window was so small on the x values that we were just seeing a tiny bit of it. And see, now that we've increased. And we can see this point of intersection. And remember, I went from 69, that's here, right, to 85, which is up here. And we want the point that they intersect. So this would be 84. I don't know about you all, it doesn't look like they intersect here. and this would be 70, and that looks pretty awful close. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's 70. However, to check, because I don't ever want any estimates or guesses, if we go to the table, we can confirm this. So this is our values for the first function, our y values. These are our y values for the second. Remember, we want the one where they're both equal. One thing I didn't show you in the initial video, when you're looking at these numbers, if you're trying to get to a really high number for x that you're looking for, if you hit the plus button while you're on here, it changes what's called the step. So now you'll see that it goes up by tens. So then we just scroll down to 70, and you see that they're both equal here, which means that's what we wanted ultimately. So now I'm going to go back to the problem. Since we know our answer is 70, looks like we shifted a little bit. So if all was done right, C should be our correct answer. Since at that point, also just for reference, that point 70 is the point where we break even, where our cost is equivalent to our sales. So we've made just as much as we've spent. So we've broke even there. So anything greater than that would be profit. And that's why this is the answer. And that was right. If my computer wishes to scroll down the rest of the way, I can see the beginning of the check mark. There we go. So that was right. The y's, well, it gave us our function for cost and told us how much we made off of each, or how much we made from each item. And then we just had to compare the two, and we graphed them each. Like I said, my little tip was that this is the type of problem that it's most beneficial to have the calculator for in every sense. Again, we've been through a lot of problems. Some of the calculator section problems I didn't use the calculator because either it would have just taken more time away from getting to other problems when your guys are taking the SAT, or because there was just no convenient way to use the calculator to do the problems. It didn't make it any easier on some of these. However, this one, obviously, we could have set it up as an inequality and set this greater than this, and then solved for n and got a number. And that wouldn't have been hard, but it was much easier to just punch everything in the calculator. So I hope that was helpful, guys. I know the SATs this weekend for some of you all. So for those of you that's the case, I wish you the absolute best of luck. I hope that goes so well for you. For the rest of you that are taking that in May or otherwise, we're still going to have more videos to come. I'm not going to stop just because some of you all have taken the SAT, and some of you that take it in March might take it again, just depending on the case-by-case basis. Obviously, it's whatever works best for you all. That being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you at the next video.